Okay, we're going to be introducing your final project for this class, and it's going to count for your exam grade and for your final test on three-dimensional shapes. So in Google Classroom, you'll see this assignment called Castle Project, and all the documents you need will be found here. So the first thing I'd like you to do is look at these famous castles in history as kind of inspiration. And when you look at any of these castles, what should jump out to you are the three-dimensional shapes that are made that make up the castle. So the Magic Kingdom is loading here, and you can see that at the top we've got some cones, we've got some cylinders on the sides, rectangular prisms. Same thing here with the Game of Thrones castle. This Chinese castle has some hemispheres at the top up here. On the sides, there is an entire sphere. You still see some cylinders. And it keeps repeating through all of these famous castles. So that's a little bit of inspiration. And you and your group are going to design and build your own castle. So I'll go through the directions first. You will work with a group to create a unique and creative castle-like structure that incorporates numerous 3D shapes. These must be connected to make a building using either paper nets or 3D objects from home or a combination of each. You have to use a cylinder and a cone, but your additional shapes can be any 3D shape. Remember that for 8th grade, the shapes with a curved edge like cylinder, cone, and sphere, that's our objective. But you can certainly add in additional prisms. Now, when we talk about paper nets, this is what we're talking about. Ms. Deshone and I have many copies of these, so this would be a cone. If you cut around here, you don't want to cut through here, but this would be at your base. So when you fold this down and wrap this around, it would make a cone. Here is an example of a triangular prism. This is a pentagonal prism, a cylinder. Okay, so you may create your castle with paper nets like that. You can also do paper nets for some of the trickier shapes, but bring in boxes or cans or objects from home. So let's talk about the goal. So your shape has to have at least 12 mini shapes in it. So if you have a group of 2, each person is going to have to do 6. If you have a group of 3, each person's going to have to do 4. Okay? You cannot have any more than a group of 3. I might be able to work with you if you have a group of 2 and 6 is too hard. We can talk about that. But all the shapes need to add to the overall look of the castle and be connected in some way. Measurements need to be documented. So on your shape, I want to see the height written right on it and the radius so that I can check your calculations. Each person will make all unique shapes. That means you can't do a cone from this net and just copy it 6 times and everybody do the same cone. And obviously, they're all going to have the same volume and there's no real work to be done. So you can enlarge and make your own net for different size and shaped cones, but they all need to be unique. You also, if you do a cone, you can't just do 3 different size cones. If you do a cone, you need to pick maybe a cylinder, maybe a triangular prism, but 3 different shapes. Your castle will be graded on creativity and uniqueness, and we want no gaps or mistakes in the build. In your presentation, you're going to list out all the unique shapes in your castle. So you'll list out that we're using a triangular prism, a sphere, a cylinder, so forth. The most important part of this project is, are you showing how to accurately calculate volume? So your work is shown for all specific smaller parts of the castle, and then you add them all together for the final volume. Formulas need to be shown, calculations are correct, and have correct units. The way you're going to present this project is through Google Slides. So you're going to take a group slide at the beginning, which is your title slide will have your complete castle all together. And you may add additional decorations after all the volume calculations are complete. So if you want to add some ropes or a flag or a tree, you certainly can do that. And then each student is going to pick a color, and you're going to insert slides of the same color, and you're going to put a picture of each of your parts of the castle. So for each piece of your castle, let's say you do a cone, you're going to insert a picture of the cone here where I can see your measurements. Then you're going to name the shape and use either whiteboard or paper to include your work of finding the volume. Now, I was looking back through the years and I found an example one, and I don't like that one. It's kind of a hot mess, but it gives you a little bit of an idea. So here's their castle, shows their total volume, and then notice that each student picked a different color. I do not love this because I would want the cone to be on one slide, the taller cone on another, the cylinder and the other cylinder. Now, must not have been clear enough with this group because a cone and cylinder, though, that only counts as two shapes. They should not have repeated the same type of shape. Okay, so same thing there. I just had another one up that I showed in my previous video. I'll see if I can find it real quick. If not, I'll have to show you when I get back. Come on. It looks like, I think it's this one. So the reason I didn't love this one is they did not do a great job with their units, but they've got their whole group project. And then here, they showed the picture, but notice they didn't do a great job with their measurements and their units labeled. But you can see how every yellow slide is one student. And then it goes to a pink slide showing the next student. And notice this one did a little bit better. This would have been a good example. Formula's written, the total volume is written. Notice how on these slides, or on their shapes, they've got the measurements labeled, so it's easier for me to grade. And this student, did a hemisphere. Okay. So let's go back and look at what I've given you. So I've given all of you a copy of these directions, and I've given all of you a template. And the template gives you the directions. And if you go up here to the plus sign, and when you drop down, it's going to give you either yellow, purple, or pink. So decide which student is which color. And the green slide is for your title slide, for your complete castle. Okay. So you will have time to work on this over the next couple of days, but here's what your goal is for today. So today you're going to take a piece of paper, and in the upper left corner, you're going to decide who you're going to work with. Can be 2 or 3 students. And keep in mind that you will be responsible for the work of everybody you're with. So choose wisely. Then you're going to start making a sketch, and you're going to just start brainstorming what your castle might look like. So you might start and say, okay, we want a cylinder over here with a half of a sphere on the top, and we'll make this little drawbridge going up here, a square pyramid or prism here. On top of that, let's put a square pyramid, and you start making a sketch of what you're going to do. Then you're going to assign what person is going to do which thing. Now make sure that if Jimmy does this rectangular prism, if you add another rectangular prism, which is down here, he can't do both of these. Okay. There's also going to need to be communication. So let's say that Matt is doing the cylinder, and on top of the cylinder, Mike's going to do a hemisphere. They need to communicate about the size of the base so that it fits together correctly. Same thing over here. Okay, so remember, so you're going to make a sketch of your plan today. Then I want you to make a plan about the materials you need. So you might say, we are going to do all nets with paper. You may say that we're going to bring in some boxes or some paper cones. You might say that you're going to buy a foam ball, styrofoam ball to use, but you're going to make a plan of what you guys are going to gather and decide who's going to start bringing those in over the next couple days so that you can start assembling your castle. Remember that if you tie it together with ropes, or if you have extra features like a flag, that's all extra stuff that you can do at the end. At the beginning, you want to focus on getting this castle sketched out, make a plan for who's doing what, and start bringing in material so that tomorrow you can get to work on making this. Okay, so make sure that you look in Google Classroom. That's where all of these materials are found, and that's where you're going to make your template. So one person open this, share a copy so that you all are working on the same copy. And you can go ahead and get started with your group and get planning. I do want to tell you one more thing, is this project is a reward because you have been an outstanding class. In lieu of an exam, you get to do this. If at any time it's not working out so well, if your group gets really off task, or if you are not pulling your weight, I will just have you switch over to the other option of taking the exam. So I will see you tomorrow. Hopefully that was clear.